This is a pack made by the North Face called the Kaban, and it is a 26-liter bag. You can see here that I have this in white and black. It comes in several other colors. In fact, it comes in acrylic orange and white, military olive, urban navy, black, and then Sedona sage gray. I like the look of this black and white pack. In fact, this is probably one of the most beautiful packs that I've reviewed to date. And it has a lot of good things going for it beyond its looks. First and foremost, it does have a flat bottom, which would allow it to stand up, although it is such a narrow profile, as you can see here, that it can be a little bit tippy one way or the other. In terms of the outer compartments, it has two water bottle pockets on either side, very deep. And if we flip around and take a look at the suspension system, we can see here that it's got a high quality suspension system, as we'd expect. North Face does a nice job with their suspension system. While it's not perforated, it does have a lot of relief, especially right down here through the spine area, and open channels here to allow for a lot of ventilation to keep you nice and cool. The shoulder straps themselves are firm, but clearly they're cut well and they're comfortable, and we'll see for sure how well they do under load. There is a sternum strap which is adjustable up and down, and the shoulder straps themselves are fully adjustable. There is a grab handle here at the top, and then in the very front there is a place if you want to attach a blinky red light if you happen to be cycling with this pack. It's definitely a pack that's marketed to a much more active lifestyle. All right, so let's take a look and see what's on the inside here. This is what's called a bucket design, and you'll understand what that means in just a moment. If I unzip the first outermost compartment here, you'll see that, number one, it's very dark inside, so it might be hard for you to see each of these things. Here's a mesh pocket, good sized mesh pocket, so obviously you'll be able to see what's in there without having to fish around inside of it. There's a little key fob in there if you want that. And then on the top area, there are two fleece-lined pockets. This larger one here might be able to fit a pair of glasses, sunglasses. This smaller pocket, hard to say. It's not quite big enough to fit a, well, at least not any modern day cell phones in there. Maybe an old flip phone could fit in there. And it's a little bit harder to see here because this doesn't unzip beyond, too far beyond what you can see here. And yeah, that's the limit on this side. Against this back wall, we have the organizing panel. And there are 4 slots for pens or pencils. There's a slot here too for a cell phone, which has a little pull tab, which allows you to pull the cell phone up and out, although it looks a little bit too small for an iPhone 7 Plus. And then just behind this set of organizing pockets, there's a fleece-lined pouch where you could put a small you could put an iPad, 9.7-inch iPad there or smaller. Okay, so that's the organizing panel, the front flap here. One thing I did forget to mention is that there is a hidden pocket here on the outside. Pretty good size there. It's probably about a 9x7 open pocket here. And then let's move to the main compartment here. And I'll talk a little bit now about this bucket style here. So right now that's as far open, yep, that's as far open as it gets. And you can see here this lid opens up and leaves you with this bucket-like form here where you can put the stuff into, all your bags, all your equipment, etc. There's nothing in here in terms of organizing pockets. It's just one big gaping space, and it might be a little hard for you to see because it's black in there, but it's a good sized space there, and again it has a flat bottom. And then if we keep moving to the back here, you can see that this is where we would have the panel or the pocket where you'd keep your laptop, and it opens up sort of almost completely around. It stops here and here. That's the opening of the zipper. And then inside of this, you can see we have another one of these lifting elevator things. So you pull up on it and it pulls your laptop up so it's easier for you to grab. Okay, so, and inside of this compartment, it's just the compartment for the laptop. One thing to keep in mind here is that we have a very stiff frame sheet here, which allows the pack itself to have a lot of good structure, and it keeps it so that it maintains a shape and makes it easier for you to load it and unload it as well. So nice structure there. There's also a layer of foam thin layer of foam between the laptop compartment and the main compartment. So if you have things rattling around inside your main compartment, it's not going to hammer up against your laptop and do damage to your laptop, or vice versa. Okay, so I think that's it for the show and tell. Okay, so let's talk about some of the good aspects of this backpack. First of all, it is a really, like I said before, it's a good looking bag. And it does have a glasses pocket. As you know, I'm obviously an eyeglasses wearer, so having a pocket that is fleece lined that will protect either your eyeglasses or your sunglasses, having a place to swap them out is really quite nice. I really like this hidden front pocket up here. It allows you to be able to put your wallet up there or inside of here without feeling like it's going to be a security risk. And it has the double water bottle pockets, which is a fairly rare thing. Usually you only have one side with a water bottle pocket, the other side is some other pocket. It does have this handle right here on the back, the grab handle I call it. This is a really good size grab handle. It's nice and stiff, easy to grab, and in fact it's one of the biggest grab handles that I've seen on a pack. And you'd be able to wear a big fat pair of mittens or gloves and be able to grab this and move it around quite easily with this grab handle. I do really like this bucket style because it allows you to just toss all your stuff in without really too much organization, and it's nice and secure. It's not going to suddenly all topple out of there. It's much harder for a thief to get access to a bucket style backpack as well. And I do like the sort of the low profile look to this. It's got a very narrow silhouette, as you can see, and it's got a narrow silhouette in this direction too, despite the fact that this is a 26-liter pack. So it's a good size pack, and it's made that it can be a 26-liter pack because of its length relative to its actual girth and your depth and your width there. Okay, so those are the good things that this pack has to offer. So let's move on to the things that aren't so hot, the bad things about this pack. And unfortunately, there's quite an extensive list of things that are not so great about this pack. I think that the North Face, in general as a company, they do a lot of form or fashion over function. And this is probably a case where this pack certainly fits that mold. Number one is that it's missing double zippers. That's one of the most difficult things to deal with. That may not sound like much, but in practice, once you actually start using a backpack, it can be a huge pain to only have a single zipper that allows you access to any one of these compartments. The same thing with the main compartment. It's a single zipper that goes across the top here, 270 degrees here. If you had two, you could open it up a small amount and dive in there and grab whatever you want and close it up. But now, in order to get access to this pack, you actually have to open up the entire thing every single time to reach in and get whatever you need to get out of that main compartment there. Similarly, there's only a single zipper for the computer access area. And again, it's so much easier if you can do two zippers all at once. Having a single zipper means that every single time you have to do the full unzip in order to get access to whatever you're trying to get access to. So I think that's a major design flaw, and I'm not quite sure why it would have been so much more expensive for the North Face to have installed double zippers here. Clearly, they weren't looking at user experience when they went to design this pack. The zippers themselves, too, are sort of flimsy, lightweight things. I mean, I'm sure that they're sturdy enough, but when you compare this to some of the packs in the same class of these packs, these are some of the lightest weight zippers that I've seen. Not to mention the fact that they don't have extensions, extra zipper pulls that you would use if you're wearing mittens or something like that. You can't grab onto these tiny little guys. So it's missing a lot of those user-friendly designs that most packs typically have. The interior being jet black, it may look cool, but in terms of functionality, it's a real pain because it's especially in a bucket design, it's terrifically difficult to see down. Right now I'm in a pretty well lit room and it's like a black hole down there. I can't see what I'm looking at because it's so dark in there. If they had just used a lighter color, even a lighter gray, it would have been much easier to be able to see things in this pack. Black is the worst possible liner that you can actually have here. The fleece pockets that seem like a wonderful thing. I mean, I love having fleece pockets to protect my glasses, but these fleece pockets are terribly designed. There's a flap that is covering each of them that you have to get into, you have to get past in order to get into there, which in practice is incredibly difficult. It would have been better just to have a zipper here. And in fact, I really don't think that dividing this fleece pocket into two makes any sense. It really would have been nice to have a single zipper or even Velcro to pop in your goggles potentially or your glasses. You certainly don't need to have a fleece pocket for your iPhone because there's a phone pocket that's dedicated for that. So really just keeping this as a single pocket would have been a much better design. Or if you really want to, shift it over tremendously and make this pocket over here one that could easily fit a pair of sunglasses. Right now you have to put it in sort of at an angle in order to have it fit in there. But again, the worst part is its accessibility is really tremendously difficult, especially when that's something that you're going to want to put on. You're going to want to put on your sunglasses and take off your sunglasses frequently. You want to make that as accessible as possible, if not having it externally accessible. The water bottle pockets themselves, while it's nice to have two of them, neither of them are very good because they're both incredibly narrow. Now, they're not so narrow. If your pack is empty, you'd be able to fit a water bottle in there without too much trouble. In fact, let me go get a water bottle so I can show you that. Okay, so here I have a typical 16-ounce water bottle, and I can slide it in there. It's not too much of a problem. But the problem is because these have little flexibility, they're not elastic. The pockets themselves are not elasticized. They actually push the bottle into the main compartment, which does what that does is it causes the interior space of the main compartment to actually drop significantly. Especially if you could imagine if you had two water bottles hanging out here, you would actually compress this area to a much smaller space. Okay, so the lack of flexibility, the fact that these pockets don't bulge outwards away from the main compartment means that you just lost some volume in your main compartment as the water bottle pushes in. They are nice and deep, that is beneficial. However, they don't really hold your water bottle all that well. It would be nice if they had some sort of bungee cord or something to clip this water bottle in so you don't lose it if you're in a hurry to go from one place to another. I would say that it really could use a pocket for a file folder. You could put that, it would be very easy, just an open top pocket that would go right against the back wall of this main compartment. You could put file folders in there to keep your papers nice and flat. I also wish that there were lash points on the shoulder straps, because that would allow me to attach my keys and my ID that gives me access to buildings. There's nothing on there. It's nice and smooth. It wouldn't take much. Just put a single piece of webbing here as a lash point. That's too bad because that's missing. In terms of 26 liters, there's no doubt it's a 26 liter pack, but unfortunately it's not a great 26 liters because it's such a narrow and tall pack. It's okay if you carry a lot of really tall things, but what we end up doing, and most of us who are living on campuses like myself, carrying around books and such, is that you typically don't have something that's really tall. What you really usually have are 3 or 4 books that you're going to put together and put down into here. This space is actually too narrow to fit multiple books, and you can't really stack books on top of each other very well. So it's not really a great design to carry books, notebooks, 3-ring binders, that kind of thing, because it's just too compressed. It would have been better to make it just a slightly bit wider or even deeper to be able to accommodate things like 3-ring binders. The other thing that I find really odd is that this clearly is a backpack that is marketed to the active lifestyle. People who would throw this on and then go bicycling from the coffee shop to the classroom. But the problem is that they don't have a waist belt, and typically for an active lifestyle backpack, and even North Face usually does have waist belts that they put on even their consumer grade backpacks. It's strange that it's missing from this backpack. So what about the things that I think are neither bad nor good, but I probably wouldn't take advantage of them? Well, first and foremost, there is this panel that you see right here, not the black panels, but this white one. And this is the case for all the Kaban packs. The white panel in the middle is coated with polyurethane to make it waterproof. I'm not quite sure why you would only do it for the center panel and not do it for the side panels. So clearly it's, again, an issue of it being form over function when it comes to the north face. The pull-up tabs themselves, what I call the elevator tabs, I'm not sure how much these things are more of a gimmick rather than being truly useful things. I mean, frankly, I've never had a problem reaching in and grabbing an iPhone out of its pocket as long as the pocket itself is large enough for me to be able to grab it. So I'm not sure why you would even design this complicated system into it rather than just making the pocket maybe a little bit looser or gusseted so you could reach in there and grab it more easily. And then even more so when it comes to the laptop, I'm not sure how many of us have trouble reaching in and grabbing a laptop that's hanging out in the laptop compartment. Why would we need to take the extra step of using this elevator tab to pull it up, to get it up maybe above the edge of the pack so I can get it? It seems like it was a solution searching for a problem. Very odd to me. So you can see that everything here to my left, these are the things that I typically would carry with me in my crossover day pack. So let's see how well the Kaban holds all this. It was a tight squeeze. In fact, one of the problems I had is that I couldn't put this anywhere, my iPad Pro, which is something I use all the time. So that's a huge bummer. You can either fit the laptop or the iPad, but not both. There's not another compartment in the laptop compartment. And since I keep things like cameras and headphones and other hard bits and pieces in the main compartment, there's no way that I could put my iPad in there safely. So the fact that it can't hold two devices is a huge strike against it. Now, of course, if you had a smaller tablet like the 9.7-inch iPad, that would fit because there's a dedicated compartment in the front of the bag for that. However, when you put heavy things like tablets in the front of the bag, it actually makes the bag feel much heavier. So it's better to place heavy devices closer to your back. There's less swing momentum associated with having heavy things towards your back. Okay, so let me go ahead and throw this on and tell you how comfortable it is to wear with it fully packed up. All right, so you can see I'm wearing it. Again, it's nice and trim, right? It's close to my back, and you can see that I largely eclipse it. There's very little in my way if I'm swinging my arm, so it's a nice compact design in that way. I will tell you that I did try to clip this sternum strap, and frankly it's not long enough. It's not like I'm a huge person, but the sternum strap itself is just not long enough, and so when you put it on, it really starts to compress and feel like you can't breathe a deep breath in, even when you have it on the largest setting here. So largely useless. The straps themselves are actually very comfortable, and the back is actually very comfortable. It's one of the most comfortable packs if you're not using the sternum strap in terms of the suspension system that I've used. It holds the weight of the bag really nicely. Now, granted, it is missing my iPad Pro, so that's a good 3.5 pounds, or maybe not, maybe 2 pounds that it's not carrying right now. So maybe that's why it feels so much lighter than normal. But not too bad. And all you'd need to do is maybe, well, not sure how easy it would be to do, but if they could have extended the length of the sternum strap, perhaps that would have made it a little bit more stable, especially since you don't have a waist belt to go with this. Okay, so that has some pluses and minuses in terms of how well it carries a load. I really like the way this bag looks, but in the end, it's a bag that has so many major flaws that I can't recommend it.